Okay, these are variations on the typical long axis distraction for hip or AF mobs. A little bit of flexion, a little bit of abduction, a little bit of external rotation is the resting position for most hips. And if I'm going to do a distraction, I'm going to oscillate in the grade 3 or 4 in an anterior, inferior, and lateral direction. So I often see therapists do the distraction and they kind of bounce it up and down. That is more of a slight flexion or extension. If the intention is to do a distraction mobilization, the force vector should be repeatedly going into the barrier, which again is anterior, inferior, and lateral. So your arm should be flexed at the elbow. You should not be protracted, which actually brings your head forward and protracts your shoulders forward. The force should be coming from your front thigh, because your leg has a lot more endurance than your arms. If you're going to be doing this for between 3 and 5 minutes or even longer, depending on how restricted the hip is, you can generate a lot more force, and you can do it for a longer period of time to generate the change in the restricted capsule. So a variation on this would be, because most people are restricted in internal rotation as part of the capsular pattern being restricted first, you can actually bring them into neutral and internally rotate, and that's, I can feel a bit more of a barrier there. And do you feel a difference in the stretch versus that?
Yes.
Versus that?
Mm-hmm.
He's just not saying that for the video, folks. So another variation, for you nerve heads out there like I am, if he side bends away, that will also make a difference in the amount of tension in the capsule, because we're bringing the nervous system into play. So he may not feel a difference, but I feel a difference. There's just a very slight difference. Do you feel?
Mm-hmm.
Now side bend toward. And that eases it up a little bit. So those are just variations that you can do if you want to call the nervous system into play. If he goes back into neutral, he could also nod a little bit to pull up on the, let's do a chin tuck. You can do a chin tuck down,
gotcha.
Yeah, like a retraction. There you go, and that is more of a tensioner for the nervous system. So if I wanted to do a thrust, do you think you can come around and get me in this? The position is the same, so you don't necessarily need to see him. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop onto my back heel, like doing a sharp, high velocity thrust in that same direction. Deep breath in, exhale, take up all the slack, and again. There you go. Feel a little cavitation with that?
Yes.
This normally doesn't make a big popping sound like a spinal cavitation, but you do feel like a little separation. So that is long axis distraction.